On MSNBC, a network, Tuesday, a guest mocked Fox News for devoting time to the murder of Mollie Tibbets.
I'm sure we'll hear what he has to say about this at his rally. But Fox News is talking about, a girl in Iowa and not this, right?
Right, a girl in Iowa. She's right. And a girl in Iowa murdered pales in importance when compared to tax evasion. Because if you talk about Mollie, you can't talk about the things that the media thinks is important. To the press, your sorrow over a young woman's death is gotta be political. And that hush money among adults is more harmful to society than a brutal killing. The media is obsessed with Manafort and Cohen, victimless gotcha crimes. But for most Americans, we know a true victim when we see her. It ain't the IRS or Stormy. And so we're smeared for thinking murder matters more than a bad 1040. So maybe we need to help the media find equivalencies. Let me ask you, dear media, how many Mollies is a Mike Cohen worth? The answer, as many as it takes to undo an election and the facts be damned. On Sunday, this story took off on Twitter. ICE had nabbed a guy on the way to the hospital with his pregnant wife. It was perfect media fodder, until we later found out the dad was a murder suspect. So mysteriously, that story went away. Or how about the Nazi death camp guard living in Queens? Obama's White House knew about him, but ignored it, even as the Nazis' Jewish neighbors called him out. Then we had an election, and Trump, using ICE, deported him. So without ICE, we'd have at least one Nazi on the loose. If this is the first time you've heard of these stories, I get it. These days, you stick to the story you want to tell, which is why to some, Mollie Tibbets is just some girl in Iowa. To be fair, I want to run this apology from the Fordham professor, Christina Greer, who apologized on Twitter. It's a non-apology, but let's run it anyway. She says, yesterday I said something flippant that was unintended. Mollie Tibbets was a promising young woman who lost her life. My hope is that her family will find peace and justice, and that her murder is not used to justify a discriminatory immigration policy. Dana, from a public relations perspective, she probably could have stopped that apology when it mattered.
But, yes, it's one of my things I can't stand about these backhanded apologies. Or if somebody says, I've never agreed with her in my entire life, but she had a good point there. They don't want to sully themselves with that.
Whenever you see a but coming, it's not an apology.
Yeah, just stop. You just put a period.
Yeah, exactly.
Or an and then say something.